guys may or may not recall that some time ago I made the mention that Jeff Bezos was hell-bent on replacing all the box stackers in his warehouse with robots. And, well, if you have friends in the local area or anywhere around a distribution center, you know that they haven't really gotten rid of humans at all. In fact, it seems to be more and more these companies are hiring more and more and more and more people. So, therefore, we're led to the question that is, well, what happened? Where are all the robots?
Okay, let me give you the basics here. So those yellow pods, that's where we store inventory. So we put goods inside those yellow pods, and on demand, it's called a goods-to-person fulfillment system. Those pods will come to a pick station. This is a Vulcan pick station. You can see that we have 2 robotic arms. It'll reach into those pods, those little bins, and it's a highly cluttered environment with different objects that you may order on Amazon.com. And then it will feel its way and also look using video streaming and AI systems in order to pick out the right
It'll
objects.
feel its way.
It will feel its way,
Okay,
right?
how does that
You imagine, like, if you do that yourself, imagine yourself having to pick out, let's say, your favorite Star Wars, action item.
You're not a Star Wars
Let's just
fan
say
at all,
that.
right? Yeah.
Whatever. What you're going to do is we're going to lift the band up and then actually pull that item out. So we have torque and force sensors also with a pressure sensors that'll give it a tactile feel. So we can see really how hard they were pushing. We can separate items. This is actually where we do a stow operation. You think of it almost like as a spatula, where we'll reach into a bin, create a little bit of volume, and then put the item inside it. It's really challenging when you think about the huge variety of objects that we store inside of those bins. It's, I'd say, some pioneering work by our team to bring these.
If you've been paying any actual, real attention to Amazon, you will have noticed that over these last 3 or 4 years in particular, right after COVID, this major post-COVID era, if you will, Amazon has been very, very, very quiet. And while Amazon's been very quiet, their former executive CEO, who's now retired, has been out making the rounds, parading him and his ex-wife and his now new wife all around, and making just a general show of things. And isn't it interesting? Isn't it very interesting that when the former star of the show, the former face of the company, takes his retirement and exits center stage and proceeds to dance through the aisles and frolic all about, mucking around with the people in the audience. While he does all this, isn't it interesting that his company continues to silently beat the war drums and march on through the night? Isn't it interesting? Now, obviously, things haven't just been dead quiet over at Amazon HQ. Oh no. They have been hard at work. And the thing that the CEOs have actually unabashedly, unashamedly, very openly have discussed is the fact that they don't just take the notion, they don't take the meme of, oh, Amazon's just going to replace all the workers lightly. They don't take that lightly at all. They take it very dead seriously. And not only do they take it dead seriously, it is part of their projections and plans in the coming decade. They are going fully autonomous. They plan on ushering out entire new suites of amenities and services for their vendors, for their enterprise and corporate customers. They are taking this joke very seriously and very literally. And even though we have not seen it happen yet, I promise you, Amazon is going to live up to the meme and it is going to displace hundreds of thousands of workers. The notion I wrestle with is, how is it that we were allowed to get here in the first place? You know, if society at large is anti-monopolistic as it tends to be in some cases, how is it then, therefore, that we could all coalesce and consolidate under the singular banner of a massive monolithic box stacking company in the first place? Why is it that Amazon and other companies such as Walmart are able to employ the numbers that they are? I think regardless of whose fault it is or whose feet we choose to lay the blame at, I think it's not a healthy mindset or a very smart and pragmatic way forward to just be standing around and pointing the finger at each other all day. I don't think that really solves much of anything. So instead, let's change our mindsets and let's consider what this change, what this evolution could entail. Could it possibly mean the death of minimum wage? Have we as a society, have we as a culture, have we as a nation systematically evolved to a point where paying someone the bare minimum is just no longer viable? It's no longer feasible. It's no longer tenable. Also, too, we should consider, does this mean that we need to usher in some other sort of payment, some other sort of allowance, like a form of universal basic income? Because whether we like it or not, we can't just leave people hanging high and dry. We need to be supplementing. We need to be taking care of the problem that we are about to create. Also, too, let us consider the individual mindset and the individual approach as well on this matter. You know, is it sustainable? Is it feasible to be a box stacker your whole life? Is it reasonable? Is it fulfilling to be a box stacker? These are questions we should be asking these people now while they're still there, you know? Is this really like what you see yourself doing 20, 30 years from now? Is this what you want? Is this what you desire? Because if so, then maybe we shouldn't even be considering the meritocracy around the act of stacking boxes to begin with. Maybe instead, we should just build a place to stack boxes holistically for just the reason of stacking boxes. But of course, we can't just console the individual. We also have to critique the individual. How, in what ways and how is this a systemic failing? You know, it is, if box stacking is not all that it seems to be, if it's not all unicorns and rainbows and lollipops, then why is it that so many people do it in the first place? Is it simply just to put food on the table? And even in a perfectly optimistic, perfectly utopian world, even with a perfect 100% positive outcome, we continue to pay everyone, we take all the awful, shitty jobs away. Well, what do people do? Not everyone can do art. Not everyone can write poetry. That's just not feasible, not tenable unto itself either. If we all end up living in a post-scarcity, communist utopia where everything is taken care of and everything is bought and paid for, and you never have another worry or another piece of anxiety invade and enter your life ever again, what then still? These are questions we have to ask, we have to answer, we have to begin to tackle. When we start completely wholesale eliminating entire sectors of the labor force, we no longer just get to idly sit by and say, well, that sucks. No longer can we just be so abrasive and ignorant in our mindsets. We have to consider others. We have to consider ourselves. And we have to consider everything in between. So, what happens? What happens when we start displacing hundreds of thousands, millions of people from their jobs? What happens when we start completely changing the way we do the economy? What happens when buying and selling, bartering, trading, and being privileged to the access of currency becomes even more of a first world luxury than it already is? That's the discussion for today. Major things are coming. The sands are beginning to shift. And, unfortunately, like it or not, there's going to be disruption. But where do you stand on it? Where are your thoughts and opinions and feelings in all of these matters? And more importantly, and to hit a little closer to home, how are you taking care of yourself about it?